Catalytic Action is a charity that works to empower vulnerable children and their communities through participatory built interventions. We aim to create dignified built environments where everyone can take part in the process, and by doing so, we are capacitating the local community and ensuring that our projects have a lasting impact. To achieve this, we collaborate and partner with various organizations, institutions, and local community groups by providing participatory methodologies and processes, design services, and transdisciplinary research. So in a typical project, for example, we start by doing participatory assessment phase where we develop and tailor tools to implement with the community members, and from that we move to coming up with the design ideas, and with a team of experts we translate the ideas of the community into a technical design that then we revise and we put back to the local community, for example through design consultations, and from that we move to implementing the built intervention. And when we implement the intervention, we supervise the work, and then after the implementation is completed, we monitor the use of the spaces. And research comes as a way to be able to inform our interventions, inform the process of the interventions, but also to monitor the uses after the intervention is complete. Main challenges in creating inclusive and welcoming spaces lies within the process of creating them. I will speak from our experience in creating such spaces in context of displacement. One of the key challenges that we encountered is when the key stakeholders that we are working with don't realize the importance of children's participation. So a way to mitigate this is we try to educate the key stakeholders on the importance of children's participation. We do that by showing them practical examples from our previous projects where children's ideas really challenge the preconceptions that we had and the adults' perception of children's spaces. So we show them how, by listening to the children and hearing from them as they are the experts in their own lives, how we were able to create a design that really suited their needs, and therefore the project was way more impactful and we were able to really empower the children in the process. Another key challenge that we face is being able to reach the most vulnerable community members. In participatory processes, when we are doing the outreach phase, often we reach community members through existing networks of partner organizations or institutions or social groups, but in most cases, this phase of the outreach is not considered as an important phase. So a way to mitigate this, we really advise to put enough resources and enough time to do the outreach phase in order to be able to reach the most vulnerable community members. Another challenge that we encountered that is particular to displacement contexts and contexts where different communities are living there is to engage in the process with the representatives of these diverse communities, as of course we cannot engage all community members in the participatory process. So to do so, we spend enough time during the outreach phase to understand the context, to understand the different communities living there, and ensuring an equal representation of these different groups. Another key challenge that we encountered is the lack of willingness to participate, and this is very particular to displaced and refugee population who do not have an emotional attachment or investment in the place that they are living in at the moment, as this for them is temporarily and they are planning to move on to their next destination, like their hometown, for example. So in order to mitigate this, we found that for adults' participation, it is important to explain and share how this is a learning opportunity, and it is a way that they can learn these new tools and maybe apply them wherever they are in the future. And for children, it is important to ensure that the activities that we are conducting are fun. So even if they don't see that the playground that we are designing today together, they might not be able to use it because they're moving away. At least the activities that they took part in, they're fun, and they appreciate the memories they had and the friends that they met during these activities. Civil society plays a crucial role in addressing the needs and the rights of vulnerable populations. So, when the government is absent, it is often the civil society organizations, NGOs, advocacy group, who are the ones who are addressing the needs of these communities and voicing their rights. I give the example of Lebanon, where it is often the case that NGOs are addressing the needs of these vulnerable populations. But in order to think of a long-term impact, we cannot leave the local government away from these processes, as we need to capacitate them, and a sustainable development cannot rely only on NGOs. We need to also work with the government and ensure that the government is able to follow up on their cities, to follow up on the needs of all of their communities, including vulnerable populations. Short example from our previous experience, as a response to the Beirut port explosion that took place in August 2020, we rehabilitated several public parks in Beirut, and we also started to activate these spaces through various collaborations with artists, performers, and also doing arts and crafts activities with the kids in order to enhance their relationship and their ownership to the park and to their built environment. But this was not enough. We were also working with the local municipality, the municipality of Beirut, to make them realize the importance of such spaces for the community and also for the city as a whole. And at the moment, we are working together with other advocacy groups and local organizations in order to push for these parks to open again to the public, and in order to ensure that the municipality will follow up on these spaces, as we cannot simply count on us and on other organizations to make these spaces accessible to the people. We believe that small changes can result in a big impact. I will give an example of our first playground project, Ibtasim, that was implemented in 2015. By implementing this project that followed a participatory approach, we inspired many other organizations to build playground spaces in schools in refugee settlements in Lebanon and in Syria. And since the first playground project that we implemented, up to today, we were able to implement 23 projects that other partners were interested in working with us to implement in Lebanon, because they realized how important this is, they realized the impact, and we were able to show it to them and hear how the kids really benefited from these projects. We learned so much in the past years, especially from the people that we got the chance to meet and work with. But if I have to summarize, some of the key lessons are: first, that giving time to get to know the people is very important to achieve a meaningful impact. Second, co-designing with children and their caregivers, especially their mothers, can be very empowering and really important for their well-being. Third, it is important to put children in the center of the process. And fourth, in order to achieve great impact of the project, we need to try to have full ownership, like develop a full ownership of the space, of the community, and also to partner with the local government in order to reach a long-term impact. And finally, we learned and we believe that the process is as important as the final product.